Welcome back to the Zach F1 channel. We've got actually quite an exciting one. Well, it's just obviously my thoughts after that British Grand Prix. Pretty happy with 184 overall, considering it could have got a lot worse. Obviously Perez doing that masterclass. I mean, Leclerc did follow suit as well. Perez doing the masterclass, but still managing to, how many points did he get? He still managed to get 7 points even after that. I mean, Leclerc, 2 points. Not very good, but it still ended up with Red Bull, again, getting more points than Mercedes because of the fastest pit stops and because of the Russell DNF. So a very lucky weekend for me. Like I said, McLaren Mercedes with Norris and a second premium driver is still 10 times better. And from the looks of things, you can now do that build with Norris and Russell as well, or Norris or Hamilton, Norris and Piastri, and it will be better because coming into next week, even with that 15 points, basically all you do is add 20 points onto Mercedes points. You could actually add more and it'd be more realistic. But yeah, you could see Mercedes was supposed to get the most points this weekend. But yeah, I need to get the chat up because I haven't actually seen. So if anyone's saying anything in the chat, give me 1 secundo. I've also got my forfeit video coming up. I would be very surprised if anyone watched the full thing. Because it was bad. It was not very good. Not as in a sense of like the video itself. You can only make saying George Russell 1,000 times in a row as interesting as it's going to be, if you know what I mean. But basically, yeah, like always, I'll just get into it. I'll only be live for about 20-30 minutes, and I'll just go over like the summaries of what we should be looking at. And hey DVS, how you doing, man? I can't remember what team you went for in the end, DVS. Hopefully it was all right, but it probably had a bit of Mercedes in it, didn't it? Because I know a lot of people went for Russell, and that was just unlucky for going for him instead. But he does look good, and I mean that's what I wanted to go through. Oh jeez Louise, let me get this. Nah, of course I ain't. I did it about an hour ago. It's scheduled for 3:30. So if you want to bore yourself to death for 20 minutes and listen to me say George Russell 1,000 times in a row, you can do that in 3 minutes time. Okay, DVS, that's good then. That was the better one then, not going for the Russell over Piastri, because I know a lot of people went for Russell over Piastri in the end. Of course, having Hamilton would have been the best thing in general, but the only good thing is I don't think many people went for Hamilton, so it's all right. And yeah, Gasly was the main one, because I was a big supporter of having Gasly in. Thank God I didn't have him in. Because there was a chance I went Sergeant Gasly instead of Ocon Albon. But again, that is just so unlucky. Because from not having what's it called? For a lot of people, if Gasly carried on in the race properly, he would have beaten Ocon, he would have beaten Zhou, he would have beaten Perez, he would have beaten Leclerc. That's already 4 positions minimum. So yeah, it's a shame. Very, very unlucky. I didn't think it would count as he didn't even start the race. No, Gasly did start the race. It was literally just for 1 lap. Wait, didn't he? I swear he did start the race. You're making me question it now. Maybe I'm almost didn't he? I could have sworn I saw him. But anyway, let's get into some of the summaries. So basically, first off the bat, Hamilton going up 1 million. It was amazing if anyone had him in, but realistically, nothing much changes. Oh, only formation lap. That's why then. Okay, that makes sense. Wow. Do you know why it is? Do you know why that confused me? Because it's only a -20, and let me go back to the game's rules, because this will actually be good to know for anyone who doesn't know this. Where's the thing? Not classified. No, it does. It is -10. Because he wouldn't have been disqualified for something like that. Fair play. I could have sworn I saw him, but the issue is I was so focused on what was going on in the front, because obviously you had Hamilton. I was so like in my head thinking Hamilton and Russell are gonna crash. Yeah, it should be out. It should be out my forfeit video. Honestly, it is. If anyone gets through it, mad respect. Honestly, very much respected. But right, let's actually get into this F1 chat then. So, I need to get rid of that. And, no, show chat. There we go. So basically, with Hamilton, a good option, and he still will be a good option going into Hungary. Again, now he's a bit more expensive. I'd look much more into getting Russell in. He looks like the much clearer, obvious choice. Very good points-wise for him, but don't expect him to be going up 1 million each time. Decent driver, but I do think now we've seen Russell, Piastri, they could do well as well. I still think Russell and Piastri are better options right now. Verstappen just always shows that he can always get so many points, but also does show why you shouldn't be going anywhere near him, basically, because you've got Sainz, Norris, and Piastri pretty close to him in points, and Verstappen's like 4 million above Norris in value and 6 odd million in increase in value compared to everyone else. Honestly, it might bore you to sleep though. But yes, the big one is Hulkenberg. I knew he would do well. Another P6 in a row. Honestly, if you're sticking with a single premium driver build, he is a must going into next weekend. Him and Magnussen. Lance Stroll, do not go anywhere near him anymore. He's 15.1 million. So he's technically the same premium value as you're going to get from someone like Hamilton or Piastri. Crazy, but that's how it works. Then you have the likes of Alonso. Again, still wouldn't go near him. Perez, he's always been a don't go near. For Hungary, do I want Verstappen and other rock bottom drivers, or Norris and better drivers? Norris and better drivers. So Infinity. So what I was going to get onto as well, which I sort of spoke about in that, is with Verstappen, like we mentioned, he's not that far off anyone in points, and for how much increase he is in your value, you could have Norris and Hulkenberg, or Verstappen and Verstappen and Sargent. So it will always be better to have someone like Norris, although now it's looking a little bit, who knows who's going to be that 2 times driver we go on for driver of the day and stuff, especially if Mercedes look good again. It'd probably be Russell next week, because or Hamilton. It will be Russell or Hamilton, but both look like decent options, so keep an eye out on the premium drivers next week. It will be useful. However, Hungary, I think at a track that's not going to rain, I don't think Hungary will rain. I think Mercedes will go back to being like middle ground area, because we saw Canada and Silverstone, Mercedes love the rain, no rain, sort of like fresh track circuits. Started halfway through the season, my budget 110. Do I want Norris still? Yeah, most likely, because that's the other thing as well. Thank you as well, Infinity. You're making me get onto these points. As suspected, like I said, I want to show you 2 teams here, okay? Although it was quite unlucky for teams there. Look, so with a team with McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri, Russell, I saw a lot of people doing for budget. And then let's say you had Stroll, Zhou, and Hulkenberg. I want you to look at who was getting your increases. So it was always the cheap drivers. Look, Mercedes still only 0.1 million increase. Stroll 0.5 million. Hulkenberg 0.5 million. Even on my team, Tsunoda 0.5 million. Albon 0.5 million. So what we've really learned throughout these last few weekends is the premium drivers aren't where the increases are. If you had Hamilton, well done. That was quite lucky to get that 1 million increase. However, my team went up 1.6 million this weekend, and you could have had other teams that went up quite good as well. And it's all about getting the cheap drivers right. It's all about that. Yeah, TK. So in my in my last everything you need to know video, about the Silverstone Grand Prix, I said George Russell would get a top 4. And I was like, this is like one of the most tame predictions I've ever made. I didn't expect Mercedes to be that good, but I was like, come on, Russell's getting a top 4 easily. And he was. And then he goes to DNFs. So yeah, that's what that video was about. I should probably comment after I've done with this live stream, saying what it is about. People are just going to... People are going to go onto it being like, what the hell happened with the George Russell video? They're going to be like, oh my God, he's talking about George Russell, like a serious video. Yeah, George Russell 1,000 times. Hey, racing, man. I know, honestly, with my full-heartedly, I know I was very lucky. Extremely lucky. I swapped out Red Bull for Zhou and Mercedes and Gasly. Oh my God. Yeah, no. But like, racing, like, the thing is, yeah, going into Hungary, that will probably be a better team, which is a good thing as well, because I'll probably have to take a minus, I say probably, I will have to take a -10 to get to similar teams to you guys. But it was just so unlucky. The Gasly situation, extremely unlucky. And then you even had George Russell, even more unlucky. But yeah, moving back onto like the summary stuff, like I said, yeah, I knew it. Yeah, at least I got that prediction right, Infinity. I knew one of them would bottle it. You know when you just have a feeling? I didn't know if it was Sainz or Leclerc. I just knew they were going to screw it up somehow, some way. But my surprise driver was definitely wrong, though. I said Perez could potentially get a top 6 this weekend. 17th, 18th? Where did he come in the end? So I'm pretty sure it was 17th or 18th. I was barely looking down there at the end because I was like, this guy's like a whole lap behind everyone else. Interesting goal between Sainz and Leclerc. Sainz was hanging onto the front runners. Well, that's the thing. So, yes, for Leclerc did bottle it, but it wasn't even his fault, you know. Like, I get going for a risky strategy, but like, never in a million years was that the right call. So... not too impressed with that, but I wouldn't be too worried if you're like a Leclerc fan or a Ferrari fan, because it wasn't Leclerc's fault, basically. It was Ferrari's. My predictions for Hungary, I think it will be very similar in a sense of, I don't know what the upgrades are coming into that race yet. I'd be surprised if anyone brought big upgrades again. But again, Verstappen will definitely be up there. Will he be a good driver there? Potentially. I do definitely think it will be, again, more likely looking like a Norris-Verstappen fight. So I probably would go Verstappen first, Norris second, then Russell third, Hamilton fourth, Piastri fifth. That's my top 5 for Hungary. And it's purely because, like I said, Mercedes, we know, like Canada, like Silverstone, they love tracks where it's been raining, on and off and stuff. They seem to work miracles. So we'll see how that goes. But I doubt... I'd be happy if Mercedes were fighting again with the top dogs, but I think it'll be a bit more back to the status quo. Yeah, I know, it's insane. No Verstappen wins. Yeah, Hamilton did get pole last year there, but then he flew way back in the actual race. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm still expecting it to be Mercedes good, but don't expect it to be too insane. Hungary's a bit like Monaco. Maybe Ferrari close the gap and don't bottle it. That's asking a lot from Ferrari, but I do sort of understand it. Because it is a track where qualifying is going to be very much a big... I'll talk about qualifying a lot in my video leading up to it, because qualifying will mean a lot, because there's not as much overtaking. But the issue with Ferrari is normally you have to show even still a little bit of pace. Like, you know, in Imola, they were doing well. So, like, everyone knew in Monaco, okay, the track is more laid out for them. They should do well. I think even in a track that's more laid out for them, we're talking podiums now. I don't think they're anywhere near a win anymore, which is really scary. I don't know what... I generally don't know what's happened to them as well, because they've not stopped bringing upgrades. It's just they've done an Aston Martin, not as dramatic, but very much not in the running anymore. Scary times for Ferrari fans. But yeah... for the cheap drivers, I think going through them, obviously double Haas still the best drivers, 100%. Gasly, I still think he's a decent option. It wasn't the best weekend for Alpine. They've probably they've dropped down in my list. Sonoda's gone back up in my list. Sonoda I was very proud of this weekend. Didn't have much faith in him, but he served me. He served me very well. Albon again, because he's 9 million now. I think he drops way down in my list. He drops way down. He's probably below the likes of Gasly now, because Gasly's Gasly goes back down to 9.9, 9.8 million. So Albon be a bit cautious now, because he's good, but worth 9 million, not in a million years. Ocon, again, he's not very good to have. Try to steer clear of him. Ricciardo, decent, but again, Ricciardo will be above 10 million by quite a bit now. Not worth him in value. Both Ocon and Ricciardo are just too expensive these days. Bottas, Sargent, Zhou, same thing as normal. The cheap drivers do not look like it's worth it. We're getting very close to Sargent going below 5 million. He just needs 2 more bad weekends. It was a shame to see him only get 4 points, because he actually did have a good race in general. Why is Ferrari doing bad? So it's a mixture of Mercedes front wing upgrades working wonders. McLaren's upgrades working wonders as well. Red Bull being Red Bull. And, well, actually, I say mixture. That's about it. Just Mercedes and McLaren have been getting their upgrades right this season. And Ferrari have... You'll notice Mercedes and McLaren have been focusing on their front wings. Ferrari haven't, and they've been falling behind. So clearly, whatever Ferrari are working on, more importantly, which I think is like their side pods and shit, they're not doing much. DVS right there. They're going back to old specs, bouncing around with their upgrades. Not a good look at the moment. Yeah, but honestly, I'd be happy if they just went back to the old specs. They've learned that doesn't work, because it is Ferrari. I expect them to be back up in the running, but they now know they can't go down that path. They should focus on their front wing, because it's been working for everyone else. Forfeit. Yeah, Infinity, what about the forfeit? I saw they were focusing on a 2026 car. I see. Really? I mean, it's a bit early on. I can understand that, but I think I'd be surprised if no one else wasn't, and it's very, very early to scrap the season and just be like, yeah, screw it. McLaren, Mercedes, they're better than us. Let's go. But yeah, I think the main drivers to stick clear of going into F1 Fantasy next weekend would be Sainz. Again, got very lucky getting the fastest lap. It was tactical, but fair play. Still wouldn't go anywhere near him. I still wouldn't go near anywhere. Both Ferraris I wouldn't go anywhere near, unless they show dramatic pace in FP1 and FP2. Mostly FP2. Because as we know, FP2 normally where the qualifying pace runs. FP3 as well. Steer clear of Stroll and Alonso. Stroll definitely, he's over the threshold now. Cheap driver wise, Double Haas still the best. Sonoda's back up to third place, I think, though. Sonoda's a very good driver to have again. Although, pardon me, Ocon, Ricciardo, not bad shouts. Oh, God. What the hell's going on? The Ocon and Ricciardo, not bad shouts. They're just quite expensive these days. And then McLaren still look like the most consistent and best constructor to have. Mercedes and Red Bull, every weekend it looks very close to seeing who's doing better. Because Mercedes without their DNFs would have done a lot better. They would have been the top constructor this weekend. But Red Bull with those fastest pit stops coming in clutch again. Because look, 15 points, Mercedes and Red Bull would have been neck and neck. They were so close though. I mean, even Ferrari, 35 points, not good enough. Aston Martin as a constructor? Nah, not really. Because that was Aston Martin's best weekend for a while. And they could still only get 1 point more than Haas. Although Haas did do well. But it's not good enough to have as a constructor. But then, would you say there will be any surprising performers in Hungary? Seems like the list of consistent, viable drivers is limited. So, for me, again, I predicted him to do well in terms of his results, but I think the surprise driver, if you can say surprise, will be Perez. I think he's due a decent race coming up soon, and I think in Hungary he could get like a 6th. or a 7th. And I know that sounds like, wow, that's not really surprising. I think Perez getting top 6 these days is quite surprising. And I think he could do it. I think Ferrari is having troubles with wind tunnel correlation, back to old specs. I swear, isn't that a very similar issue to what Mercedes had? And then they got it right, and we saw what happened. So maybe if we do see Ferrari getting it right, they'll go back to the way they were. But right, anyway, yeah, let's finish off this summary, and then I'll show a few teams and why, and then I'll have to go. So basically McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, still the best constructors to have. Nothing's changed there. Ferrari, don't go near. Aston Martin, don't go near. Haas is okay, but you're taking a very big risk going with a cheap constructor, and I still don't think it's worth it. Because, look, cheap drivers, less of a margin to the premium drivers, but even Red Bull to Aston on weekends, that doesn't matter. Yeah. It might not work out. But anyway, look. So let's have a look at the 2 teams that could have been brought in. Because I know Hamilton was a team, but Hamilton was in a few teams, but it was very limited amount of teams. So it would have been Norris, Piastri, Zhou, Sargent, and Albon. I think I was going to bring him. And you can see, even with all of these DNFs, it would have been a better team without the DNFs in there. And yeah, racing, 100%. Infinity, opinions on Ollie Bear. I'm a little bit scared. He did good in a Ferrari, but I don't like saying this because he is a good driver, and I do think he'll do okay, but I do think he's getting rushed a little bit. Just look at the F2 season so far. I think him and Kimi Antonelli are both being extremely rushed into F1 for no reason at all. They're both not doing the best in F2 at the minute. I could see him doing decent, but losing Hulkenberg to bring in Behrman, I think is a downgrade. But hopefully, hopefully it will be like a Zhou situation, because I didn't actually think Zhou would do well at Sauber, and he's done okay. He's done better than I thought he would, at least. Nothing much this season, but the car's pretty rubbish. I'm hoping it'll be a situation like that, because they've let Zhou develop, and he's now now he's decent. Yeah, Infinity, exactly. I'm pretty sure both of them aren't even in the top 5. Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit on the fence about it all. It's definitely a downgrade to Hulkenberg, and I 100% think they're rushing both of them. But yeah, Russell is really cheap right now. Tempted to take the -10 to get him in as a second driver. Hungary racing. I agree. Racing. This is what my team will most likely look like. Yeah. Not top 5, yeah. This is what my team will look like, everyone, by the way, going into the next weekend. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Zhou. Was it Albon? I believe. No, let me get back to the F1 Fantasy one. Because, also, thank you all for joining the league. We have over 800 now. Let's go. What was I going to do? So, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Red Bull out. Ocon out, and I believe it was Yuki out as well. And it's going to be Mercedes. Where is he? Russell. And back to Logie Bear in the team. This is most likely what my team setup will be going into next weekend. Unless something drastic happens and we see that Mercedes don't look amazing, then I won't move over, because Red Bull are more secure, but that's about what my team will probably look like going into next weekend. But yeah, basically, all in all, Mercedes do look good. Hamilton looks better than he does at the minute, but Russell cheap, he looks very good as well. Both McLarens, all 3 McLaren assets look very consistent, very good. Red Bull still coming in clutch with their fastest pit stops. Oh, and yes. So basically, it's all about the points threshold. So let me go over to the race results. I can't remember the exact way it was. Let me get it. Yeah, that's fine. Where was it? What was I going to do? Yeah, so we've got the average of 10.5 points down here, yeah? And then what was the calculation again? Let me get up Twitter, because the calculations are there. Right. Let me get because I believe F1 Fantasy Tools got it up. I can't remember exactly what the calculations are anymore. I'm pretty sure I pinned it on my channel. It was quite a while ago, though, when we figured all of this out. Where was it? No, not there, not there, not there. I'll find it. Is it this? Nope, it's not that. Here we go, here we go. Here is, yes, thank you, Racing. I saw your message just as I got there. So we have premium, mid-premium, and cheap. So, for that 0.5, you need to be within 0.5 of the average result. Now, what was the 0.5 of the average result? Well, 0.5 was 5.25. So anyone who got above 6 points would have gone 0.5 million up, because it's 0.5 of your multiplier to 1.5 of your multiplier. So the maths is 10.5. Well, basically divided by 2, you times it by 0.5, 0.5, and it's the same thing, 5.25. So that's why. But, right, I can't afford Norris in that team you just built, only Hamilton. Oh, okay. Well, to be fair, the team I just built as well, you can then drop Albon down to Bottas. If you still can't bring in Norris, I still think Norris is the best option so far. Oh, and so there you go. Mate. So then you look at last weekend's average points, which was 16.4. Divide that by 2, 8.2. Yeah. So I think he just got quite unlucky last weekend not to go up. It's a little bit. It's a little bit not perfect, we could say. But that's normally about how it goes. Lost 0.7 million with Russell plus Gasly this weekend. Spare some change. Mate, honestly, I wish I could give you some of my team value, because this is the first weekend for a while. I've gone up to 108.4 million now in team value, which I'll happily take. But yeah, anyway, I think that about sums up everything I need to talk about, like with the initial thoughts. The status quo hasn't changed really. F1 Fantasy video. So for my schedule, F1 Fantasy video, the next one will be out on Monday. An FP1/FP2 one on the Friday of next week. But basically this week will all just be F1 videos. So tomorrow I'll have a video about Lando Norris and about how McLaren and him are really bottling this season, because they could be a lot closer to Verstappen if they just got their act together. I'm going to do a video about Haas and how they've been improving this season. I'll think of some other ideas to make as well before the video on Monday about F1 Fantasy. But yeah, it's McLaren, Mercedes 2 times, Norris, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Gasly, Hulkenberg, rolling. Oh, I see, yeah. McLaren, Mercedes 2 times, Hamilton, Russell. I think, will it be worth the -10? It will be an interesting one. But Racing, I think you got to be careful with that -10 there, because yeah, I could make a video about Oscar Piastri. Infinity, I don't know if it'd be the most up-hearted one though, because he hasn't. If I did speak about him right now, it'd be about how he's sort of bottling it a little bit as well. The whole of McLaren in general are kind of bottling it, considering the car they've got in a minute. But which is a shame, because I wish I could say otherwise. I would generally wish I could say otherwise. But you know what? I'm not even going to complain as a McLaren fan, by the way, though. That was not me complaining, because we have gone through the trenches. I will never forget that 2017 season. I thought I wanted to gouge my eyeballs out watching some of those races. How Fernando couldn't even save that car. Insane. Yeah, 100%. And if they just put Lando on the hards, I'm pretty sure they said he didn't have mediums overall in the end. But if they just put him on the hards, he could have put. And I can't even complain about McLaren's pit stop, because Norris is the one who was a little bit too aggressive into the pits and then pushed him to the guy pulling up the car. Yeah, I don't think it'll be worth the -10 to get to Primoz. It's only worth it on tracks like Monaco where there's virtually no overtakings. Yeah, well, racing. Actually, you bring up a good point there. Like Monaco, let's do a little bit of a research as well, because I believe it's normal takes. Hungary's very much like Monaco, where you might not get any overtakes. So overtakes in Hungary 2023 F1. Where's my Reddit posts? This is where I go. Yeah. So racing, it's good you mentioned that, because I will mention this in my Everything You Need to Know video. But after lap 1, 16 overtakes. Only 16. So it's gonna be very much a Hulkenberg's the best driver to have in. The best driver to have in, because he will stay up front. I also think the likes of Albon could be decent. He's done pretty well in qualifying. Sonoda, also a better qualifier. Yeah, no, Silverstone last year had 26. Hungary 16. How many overtakes did Silverstone have this weekend? Just gone. Because it must have been a few. Hulkenberg 1 million increase. Yeah, incoming. I mean, how close was he off? How close was he off a increase? He was still pretty much... He still wasn't that close. What was it? 10.5. 10.5 was the average score. Times 1.5. Yeah, so Hulkenberg needed to score more than 16 points to get an increase this weekend of 1 million. So he wasn't far off, but yeah, it is what it is. Perez will be out at the Dutch Grand Prix. I mean, I won't be surprised if he crashed out. Oh, you mean in general the Red Bull seat? I wish I had your optimism, Morris. I mean, optimism for him going. He's not a very good driver, but Red Bull seems so adamant in keeping him. They're always so cutthroat, but with Perez, I don't know. They turn him into like a baby lamb. They're like the big bad wolf. But then they're with every other driver. But Perez, no. Is what it is. I'm hoping, though. I'd love Sonoda. A lot of people have been jumping on the bandwagon as well of Hulkenberg going to Red Bull. I'd love that, because he'd definitely get his podium. But he's already going Sauber, so not going to happen. Thanks for the tips. No problem, DVS. MCL boys still grand. Yeah, we're good. Mert becoming consistent point scorers. Red Bull good constructor. Stay clear. Yeah. Haas boys ideal. Yeah. Albon or Zhou in a... Yeah. I think Albon will do well in Hungary, though, as well, because it's more of a qualifying track. But, Sargent crossing the line in the Samuel Williams. Perez merch sales paying for... Yeah. Yeah, I think Sargent will definitely still be here till the end. Wait, can I send you a message somewhere from his contract? Nice to... yeah, if you if you want to message me, just message me on Twitter. I believe you can get into my... Yeah, I haven't responded to someone's message here. Oh, that's just my mate's message. Yeah, you can either at me or message me or join the Discord, Morris, if you want. And that's how you can talk about it. But I have seen what you're talking about, Morris, with the 100-point gap he has to have by the end of the season, and he's already not there. It's already, 105, 110 points? He's finished. I found an epic graph with average overtakes per circuit. Oh, racing. Where did you find that? That would be really useful, actually, for some of the videos. Where did you find that? Because basically, yeah. Let me put the link back in for the Discord, actually. Hungary average 21 over... Yeah, so it's on the lower end, but still more than... what do you call it? Still more than Monaco, so we could see a few. No doubt in my mind, though. The issue is, yeah, what we don't talk about a lot as well. There's the link for the Discord. Do you remember... What year was it? 2021? Where Ocon won? We had Verstappen coming through the field. We had Hamilton coming through the field. So it's all been skewed by that season's race. Let's see how many. Yeah, it should say. No, 2020. Look, 2020 had 44, 44 overtakes, and it's all because of that. Yeah. All right. Let's have a look. Hey, Morris. Right, let's see. Let's see. Okay, right. Here we go. Sergio Perez's contract. Perez must improve his performance before the summer break, as Red Bull can activate contract clauses to remove him from his seats. Despite his recent contract extension. Clause, yeah, here, that's what it was, the 100-point thing. I knew about that. After the Belgian Grand Prix. Oh, he's toast, mate. He's toast. Perez is also required 5 places in this driver standing. No, he's literally going to lose that in Hungary as well. Both Russell and Hamilton will overtake him come next weekend. Because what? Yeah, he's only got... yeah, there we go. He's only got like 7 to 8 points on both of them. 11 points. Yeah, I swear there was a stat where Hulkenberg has scored more points than Perez in the last 6 races combined. Oscar Piastri, George Russell are closing it. Yep, 100% will do. Yep, Piastri's overtaken him. Hamilton and Russell will have overtaken him come 2 weeks' time. Due to the stronger performances, yep, Team Post has emphasised the need for Perez. That's the thing. Who will it be? Who will it be, though? My money's still on Tsunoda, but I could very much see it being Daniel Ricciardo. But anyway, yes. It's 4 o'clock now. I'm probably going to need to go. So thank you all so much for watching, though. I do love these end of streams for like the post-race ones. I haven't done it for the last few weeks because obviously the video comes out the same day, so there's no real point. But yeah, just remember these few things. Double Haas, the best cheap drivers. Hamilton looks good, but he's quite expensive now. So have a look at Russell as well if you want a Mercedes asset. Norris still looks good for driver of the day stuff. It depends what the Hungary pace will be. Infinity, I'll do a forfeit in my Everything You Need to Know video. And Infinity, the forfeit it should be on my channel right now. If you refresh and go to my channel, you'll see the Zach F1 one. Sell Hamilton and buy Russell. So, yeah, 100%. That's probably what you'd get the most out of. Because Russell looked like he'd still get the same amount of points. Being a Perez fan has already been painful enough. Honestly, man, I feel bad for you guys with Perez. It's a hard life. But yeah. But anyway, yeah. And then McLaren and Red Bull still look like the most consistent point scoring constructors. However, Mercedes, if they don't get unlucky, look very good as well. Steer clear of Ferrari, steer clear of Aston. Haas, I still don't think it's worth it. Tsunoda looks like a decent option again, but Ricardo, Ocon, decent options, but they're pretty much quite expensive these days. The cheap drivers like Zhou, Sargent, Bottas really do let you down, so you need to be careful. Yeah, of course you can, Infinity. I'll get around to it. You can do it on either one, Infinity. You can either put it on the Twitter and link me at me. You can put it on the Discord in the chat, the FPL chat if you want, because you can also see if someone else can give you some ideas as well, or you can direct message it straight to me on the Discord as well. But anyway, yes, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow for my Lando Norris video, and if I see you for F1 Fantasy stuff, I'll see you next Monday. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all later, and have a good rest of your day and your week. Are you going to watch the Netherlands, England? Of course I am, and I am shitting myself, Morris. I am shitting myself. It was bad enough. You know what? Hopefully, I mean, obviously, of course you'll want Netherlands. I want England. All I want, Morris, is that we don't have a boring game. Because England always turn it into a boring game on the Southgate Ball. But yeah, anyway, thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you all later. Hopefully Wednesday goes well. I mean, for you, Netherlands, for me, that. But yeah, bye-bye.